Yeah. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. This is the school committee meeting for April 8th today, sorry. And we'll start by, I'm going to seek a motion to approve the bills.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Motion being made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the bills? There being none, all those in favor? Thank you. We have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting, last meeting, March 25th. Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion being made and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes of March 25th? There being none, all those in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Charles?
Good evening.
Good evening.
This past Thursday, April 4th, CHS held its annual reality fair in the gymnasium. All day long, students across grade levels and classes had the opportunity to simulate life after college as they spent the simulated salaries of their dream jobs while budgeting to maintain a living. The whole event was an enormous success, and all of CHS would like to extend its gratitude to Mrs. Welsh for offering her time to direct it, and her business students for volunteering to keep the day running smoothly. Also, a big thanks to Avidia Bank for sponsoring the reality fair, and all of the community groups and banks that brought in knowledgeable and experienced volunteers that helped to advise students through their many important financial decisions. A big congratulations to the CHS Band, which was recognized by the Massachusetts Trial Court for its students and director, Kate Meifert, for their commitment to the program and culture appreciation. The band was represented at Mass Probation Training Academy by instrumentalists, sophomore Amber Ramos and freshman Cody Cavago. Thursday, April 4th through Saturday, April 6th, brought High School Musical to the stage as the CHS Drama Club enlisted their months of practice in performing for the entire community. The entire group of cast, crew, directors, and of course the live band worked tirelessly to make the show a brilliant success and a fun time for all involved. By the final night, many laughs, cheers, hugs, and tears were shared as CHS said goodbye to this year's senior thespians. Congratulations to directors Mrs. Meifert and Ms. Gent for bringing their collection of talented students together to sing, dance, soar, and fly on the stage. 2 weekends ago, the CHS First Robotics team competed at the Shrewsbury Regional Competition. Being one of the loudest teams in the stands, Gale Force and plenty of community supporters cheered on their team as the robot made it to the quarterfinals. Pitted against the #1 seeded Alliance, Team 126 held their own and was even able to beat them before getting knocked out. The whole team stayed to watch the rest of the teams and the award ceremony, at which point Clinton was honored with the Judges Award, recognizing an exceptional team that the judges could not fit into any other award category. Congratulations to the whole team for their hard work, and good luck from all of us here in Clinton as Gale Force takes flight to Detroit for the World Championship competition from April 24th through the 28th. The annual Senior Citizen Dance will take place tomorrow, Tuesday, April 9th, from 4 to 6 p.m. The dance will be run by junior members of the Step Up to Excellence program and brings all ages of the Clinton community together. Relay for Life is starting up again for the first time in 2 years, and the first meeting for all CHS interested in joining the team are asked to meet 2:15 this Thursday, April 11th, in the high school cafeteria. Those students and teachers that will be traveling on the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to Spain this April vacation will be leaving for the airport at 1 p.m. this Friday, April 12th. We wish them safe travel as they make their way across the globe to make memories they'll never forget. Thank you.
Charles, do you have a date yet for Relay for Life?
I do, and it's on my phone. And I think because they are looking for, it's the 18th. It's the 18th of April. Sorry.
Okay.
April 18th. Where's that?
Is
May
that
18th.
usually, yeah.
May 18th. Sorry, May 18th. And they are looking for chaperones. If anyone's interested, community volunteers or students that have parents. Parents are always welcome as volunteers. volunteers for any length of time that they would like to provide. Of course, it goes from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., so that those nights, those wee hours late into the morning and everywhere in between are always tiresome, so everyone is welcome to join.
Okay, and that'll be out on the Veterans Memorial Complex, I'm assuming?
It won't be here.
Yeah, it's
It's, I don't know where it is specifically, it's in a different town, but it won't be here. It's, a bunch of,
Okay,
schools will be coming
Got it.
together somewhere else.
okay,
We're not hosting it, we're participating.
okay,
Right.
understood. Thank you for the clarification, thank you.
Absolutely.
Anything from the PTA? Anything from Special Needs Pack? Anything from the CTA? Thank you. Any additional public comments?
I just want to let you know that last Monday night, the middle school band traveled to Mechanics Hall and heard the Army Band and Field Soldiers Chorus. We got to sit in my favorite spot in the hall, which is right in the balcony overlooking the stage. And the musicians were so impressed. We were one of very few children in the audience. They were so impressed that they came up at intermission. They brought mini drumsticks with a loop on it for a keychain. And then one of the percussionists asked how many percussion students I had. He said, wait right here. It was like I wasn't going anywhere. And he came back with a pair of drumsticks for every one of our percussionists at the middle school. So the kids were super excited just to see how a professional band, they said, Ms. Quest, they all got up at like the exact same time and they all turned the same way. And they had comments about the music and they're still talking about it. So it was
That's
a
great.
great night.
Thank you for providing them with that formative experience.
You're welcome.
Dr. Meyer?
All right, so the first topic I have is just to build off the facilities. I've already talked a little bit about how that's going to work. So Russ, if you want to come on up. In your packet, you should have a capital schedule insert.
Good evening, Mr. Carlstadt. How are you?
Fine, so.
Very well, thanks.
So I don't know if you want to, Russ, you want to highlight the FY '20 priorities or capital requests?
Dr. Myers and I sat with the Finance Committee last Thursday or Friday, and we revised capital priorities based on what they said would be available each year. And the first two things, there's only 2 school items on the list at this time, and that would be the middle school roof and a generator at the middle school. I'm confident of the roof, and everything else on my list I'm not confident of if it will happen or not. And just to let you know what ended up on the list was the roof, diesel generator at the middle school, a flooding issue in the town hall.
When you say this year, you mean 19 or it's coming year?
Going into 19, 20.
What?
20.
So FY, so on your 5-year schedule, when you say 2019, you mean?
Yeah, 19, 20, 20.
19,
2000,
FY
2019,
Okay.
FY 20, yeah, sorry. So, so just so you know, what we ended up calling the list, we had a huge list for town and school. And so we ended up with the roof of the middle school, generator, fix a flooding problem in the town hall, some masonry repairs in the library, and then some police and fire station upgrades and camera upgrades down there. So we're hoping that with a call to the list, we'll get all of it, but there's no guarantee, but I'm confident the roof will be dealt with.
I think when we met with, when we had a preliminary meeting to discuss some of these items, I think that it was recognized that, you know, although the roof has a big price tag, if you don't start there, you're just wasting your money on the inside, so.
Right.
So the ones that are listed under 19, because I just looked at
The ones that are listed were the identified needs.
Right.
Yeah,
To be
yeah,
honest.
correct.
But
yeah.
the only ones that are probably gonna, so the total was 964,000.
970,000, and of that,
So is it in
740,000.
here? What we're asking is,
So we don't, so this is still his, this was what his identification of needs, so like in a perfect world, all these, this is what would be done in, you know, in FY '20, what's labeled 2019 there, there's $964,000 worth of stuff. What it probably looks like is, we're probably gonna be able to do, you know, 740,000 of that, which is the roof and hopefully the generator.
Right, so we're pushing for those two items in middle school.
And that's based on some preliminary feedback from what the finance committee, I think, thinks is available for that, for those capital.
Right.
The total for capital.
Is this an additional generator?
No, the generator's in the school now, it's original to the building, it doesn't function for the load, and there's none of other issues with it. It's not an automatic switch over, so anything we do over there with the generator will be reused in any new work we do.
Right, so we were talking about the generator would be able to be, kind of, if there was a remodel or a new building or anything, or we needed to move it to a different building because something failed, we would be able to do that, so.
Right, and the whole process, you know, from day one on the job, we've been talking about that as a shelter. And if that's to be a true shelter, we need to have that backup generator power, and it's gotta be automatic. Right now, someone has to throw switches if the power goes out.
No, the reason before we were here, I seem to remember at a town meeting probably 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years, I thought there was a warrant article to purchase a generator for one of the schools.
I think we had it as a budget item that ended up getting cut.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
That's why I was
I don't
asking.
think it was a warrant, it was actually in the budget. warrant.
Right, I think DM mentioned it, been working on it.
Because remind me when you said that about it being a shelter, and that was the reason they were
Right.
budgeting the generator, so
Yeah.
I didn't know if they had already.
I think last year we had mentioned it too in one of the warrant articles.
Yeah, but the recent power outage, we saw the poor performance of that generator over there, and it's a need, truly is.
No, I'm great, I just
Yeah.
thought I remembered them getting it before.
So, and in addition to, you know, the capital warrant items, there's gonna be a small fund of capital money that's gonna be given to the facilities department. It'll be able to take care of some of the other low-lying fruit that we may be able to deal with stuff that we can't pick up. I know we need to do carpets here at the high school in the office because of the issue we had last summer, and a couple other things, so we'll be able to get a lot done.
So then,
Sorry, go ahead.
so the next, I don't know if there's any other questions on the warrant items, but the next topic we had for us was the Ash Street update, and I know.
Okay, real quick on that. So the rest of these years, I know you can't get into the finance committee or anyone in this town to give you a set number, but did they, were they receptive at least, did that look, or no?
They're receptive to the fact that it's been quantified, and if they have a number to look at, and any capital plan is a living document, and I'm always reviewing it and tightening up the numbers, and maybe moving stuff around year to year. The idea is to get to a balanced number every year, so we can actually have a real capital program going.
So how would the warrant article or the budget look, when it's on the town, for the town meeting? Will it be a total capital improvement? In other words, would our, 700,000 be rolled up into a
That's
a
where,
total? Because I guess my concern with that is if we've got a priority, or the school's got a priority, but if it comes into a total amount, like let's say the town, whatever, the finance committee says, hey, you got $1.5 million.
right,
Then you prioritize, I guess, of that $1.5 million, where's it go? Like, we need a roof, but so maybe the senior center needs something, or that,
Right.
how does that shake out? I guess there's gonna be separate warrant articles by department, or is it gonna be one under the order?
well, you as a board will have, some input in that, and I work with Dr. Meyer closely on it, and same with, Mike Ward, and I report to them, and they'll help me that direction.
Yeah, I think the vision was to kind of make it maybe one warrant article that was basically from the facilities department. But then within that, just like when we write a warrant article, we have to have some description of what that covers. So in there, it might say, if there's key items like the middle school roof, a middle school generator, the library foundation, the senior center, whatever, and then probably some sort of catch-all like anything else that,
Okay, I just didn't want to see that, we think we're getting something.
Right, I know what you're saying.
Not another Christmas
Everybody
like
thinks
that.
they're getting something.
All right, so we're given that then Ash Street, I know that, Ash Street was a little confusion last year. I know we dug up an old memorandum of agreement that was all signed when the construction process was going on for the elementary school. I think there was some questions around how effective that really was at this point. I think, Russ, didn't you go to, I think you went to a Parks and Rec meeting?
Yeah, we were trying to work with Parks and Rec last year and making that MOU work, and it's just too cumbersome. So we sort of grabbed it by the head and we said, we're going to maintain, the school will maintain mowing the grass and everything around the fields. Little League is going to maintain the fields proper. So they've already agreed to that. So that is off our plates. So while they're using the fields, they'll maintain them.
The mowing of the grass?
Yeah, they're going to take care of the fields 100%, both fields.
Are we gonna mow, or they just?
We're just going to mow everything else. Anything they don't do, we're going to mow.
What does that look like in the off-season? Because I think, from what I understand, part of the extra work that had to be done was because nothing was done beyond the mowing. You know what I mean? If we're gonna end up being responsible for digging out the infields every year because in the fall the grass has grown into it.
At this year, Little League is going to take care of that.
Okay.
Little League is going to maintain the field, going to bring them up to snuff.
See, they stop in June.
I know, when they stop, then we'll take over that. And then in July, on the budget, we've already been approved, more or less, the equipment we need to do turf maintenance. So that will be on site in July. And so that'll be a manpower savings. So we're going to have equipment to deal with the turf and the infields and all the other stuff we're talking about. Which we didn't want to have our problems, we haven't had manpower.
I think as of July, a lot of this is gonna become kind of a moot point, because it's essentially, whether it's the Parks and Rec or it's the schools or whether, it's all gonna be basically within the facilities department.
Right.
I do think just some of the concern is, not concern, but one of the things we just need to make sure that we are careful of and that we kind of execute properly would be, as far as we can tell, that MOU was approved by the selectmen, it was approved by everyone, and before we just say, this doesn't work for us anymore, we should probably try to figure out what does, and if we need to execute a new MOU, that kind of, addresses where we are now, we can do that.
I think we definitely need to.
Yeah.
We definitely need to make a new MOU, because that's great that the Little League's helping out, but, it sounds like it's a year-to-year thing, and so I wanna get, I agree, it's a moot point with the new facilities department, but I know there is still some, so for all the tasks that Carl does, he kinda has to bucket them in chargebacks. So indirectly, because I think our agreement is kind of just to treat that field like it's just a field. Like, we'll mow it and keep the grass at a reasonable level, but we're not doing anything specific to that as is a baseball field. If Little League or Parks and Rec want to maintain it for a baseball field, that's just the way that I understood it. I think that's kind of the way that the memorandum of agreement read, and if anything in that agreement is changing, I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but we definitely have to,
Revisit it.
we have to
and make
have
sure
an agreement,
all-
yeah.
And then I think then it needs to be clear, like if it does say, because the other thing is, people turn over, right? So if, there could be people in the Little League right now that definitely want to do it, and then their kids grow up and now it's a new board or whatever it is, and then, so we need to make sure we have something in writing that kind of references what the agreement is, I think. So I think, it sounds like there's a plan for getting things ready for this year, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. But I think as we continue moving forward and establishing it as its own department in the town, we should look at making an MOU that addresses that. So maybe that might even be the next couple of months, I think. We're gonna try to work on that.
Yeah, I got a couple things on it, and kind of touch on what Ed said. I'm open, and I know we talked about this a year ago, and I think the memorandum when it was designed was kind of what Steve's saying, is it was to survive different personalities, and I think right now, they've already agreed, and then now the Parks and Rec director, they're gonna have a new one, so he or she could come in and say, I don't like that idea, and we're right back to where we were. But I know they had asked us a year ago, in fact, it was last October, they said they would invite the school committee to one of the meetings, but they meet like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so none of us could be there. But to just choose to change the memorandum without any, at least, input from anybody on the board here, when we're the stakeholders in there, I'm not really thrilled with the idea. On the other part of that, I get, hey, we're gonna cut the grass where the elementary school uses as a playground. But in the remainder of it, you know, like you say, the, you know, Little League can come down, okay, and they can say, we got this field ready for the beginning of the year, but as the year goes on, that's the minor league, and I believe it's like coach pitch, where they just come down and play. Who's gonna dump, you know, there's the trash, the stuff behind it, and it's great to say they're gonna do it, but I've seen this now go on for 4 years. And everybody,
Well, this is my point, I
Right.
just don't want us to incur additional
And that's what's gonna
costs.
happen, they're
Yeah.
gonna come down, because, you know, the kids are gonna go out to recess, and it's gonna be, your teachers are gonna have to clean that mess up, because they want the kids to be able to play safely. And on the other side of that, even though they're gonna play down there, because it's not a town department, I don't want them to think that they now have some type of ownership in it, and we'll go down and find that, I mean, they think they've done some great things down at Vale Street, they built a press box and so forth, but I don't want them to start constructing stuff down at Ash Street. Well, you know what, we also, and then say, well, you know, we thought we had this, you know, that's our field now. And because, like Steve said it, when certain members of the Little League, that's not even an elected board, they're just guys that volunteer, or women that volunteer, they could leave and say, we don't want to do this, and then the school picks up and the place looks like, and as the fall goes on, once they're done in June, they're done, and things overgrow, and especially that backfield under, that kind of at the post office there. People don't use that.
Go ahead, Rick.
You know, and I've developed a good working relationship with the league over the last year. You know, I came in and Vale Street was already in process and all that, and so some things could have been done better. But on Ash Street, like anything else, is town property. You know, I'm the director of facilities, I'm responsible for it, I'm responsible with Steve, and so we have to take care of it. Last year, we tried to make this MOU work, and it was just a nightmare. You know, the MOU says someone does trash before 2, someone does trash after 2, Parks and Rec will take care of it after 2 o'clock. It doesn't list any level of care that anyone does with it, it just lists the departments. It's pretty void, and, you know, a lot of finger pointing on who's doing what. So, working with this partnership with the Little League this year, I know the quality work they did at Vale Street, and they really want to jump in on this and get it going. So I really think they're going to do a good job for us. And this is the stopgap for this year as we get going, as Parks and Rec dissolves and comes facility, not Parks and Rec, but that portion of it.
So we'll take on a challenge as well then in working with these departments to make sure that we've got a written MOU
Just something.
to cover all of those
Right.
contingencies.
And I think that's a great thing to follow up and update the MOU with it. But we have to get going and make sure everything gets done. So I struck a deal with Little League, and we're going to move forward with that, I think. And that is betterment for all.
Just a couple of security updates, the high school cameras, so most of those are pretty much all installed. There's a couple little change orders we might have.
Yeah, we got the cameras in the building, and we had to do an extra piece of equipment so we can talk across the street. We have 3 cameras installed in the field house right now. So you can see from one side of the track all the way across over to the corner of the water treatment plant. And we got a fairly good view of the parking lot. We can get car descriptions and faces and plate numbers and stuff now. And then there was a couple blind spots over here, so we're adding 2 more cameras. And so I think another week they'll be up, and we'll have a training session for all the people who are going to be using the camera software. We've already had some use of it already, reporting a couple of strange cars and such. So we're after that, it's working.
Did we already put signs, do we have to put signs up that say that it's monitored?
Yeah, we'll put,
Yeah.
so that comes,
We're
we're
gonna
gonna get
come
to
up with
the
the
policy
policy.
down there. We've already, we're working on getting some of those signs made. So,
We should have just bought the signs, save some money.
So,
Just put the signs in.
questions on cameras? So, first of all, I thank you both. It was not that long ago, in your tenure, when we realized we were woefully inadequately supervised with cameras, and just the additions, I think, have been tremendous. So it sounds like there's really solid coverage at the elementary school and the high school, and plans for the middle school.
yeah, I think we're still working on the middle school to try to figure out what would be a cost-effective solution
Yeah.
to try to get some more coverage. So the next item on here was the Safer Schools and Community Equipment Technology Grant. So that was, there's a short turnaround on that grant, but it was basically some state money that was available Clinton, it was based on population and community, we were able to apply for up to $60,000. So Russ worked mostly on that. We talked about what we might want to do, and Russ put some numbers together, got some quotes, and we put in for the proximity card lock systems for all the buildings, and try to upgrade our alarm systems to more like remote alarm systems. So see how much of that we can get done on that, but we put in for that grant. I don't know if we'll get it or not, but the only thing I do know was a pretty short turnaround from the time they announced that grant to the time we had to get it in, which typically means not as many people apply, because a lot of people who say they think they want to apply don't get it in. And I know we were scrambling, but we meet the 4 o'clock deadline, so.
Okay, well, good luck with that.
And then just, I don't know, Russ, if you have any other general facilities updates, or I think,
No, this winter, well, this past year, we put a lot of money into the schools, especially, we spent a lot of money here, we spent a lot of money in the middle school on heating and cooling systems. This was the first winter that we didn't have a shutdown in either of those plants until last week, when we did have one, the boilers went out in the middle school for 20 minutes, but we were able to get that fixed pretty quick. So that was pretty good progress. Usually there's a couple shutdowns a month on the heating, so there's no major problems this winter, and we're looking forward to more of the same as we go forward. Then middle school's been getting slowly improved in its appearance. We have one staff member over there painting. He's working on the hallways, and slowly it's getting accomplished. 3 nights a week he's painting.
I don't know what color that paint is, like super ultra bright white or something, but the one hallway that was done, it does make a big difference when you walk down there.
Right, when you walk halls that have been painted, when you walk in the ones that are just not painted.
Striking contrast.
Striking contrast. And we have a meeting on Friday with National Grid, in phase 2 of the lighting improvements, which will entail all of the remaining lights in the buildings to go to LED with automatic sensors for additional savings.
Great.
So hopefully we can pull that off. And they're also going to replace our motors and heating pump motors in the admin building, and put variable speed drives in there for us for shared savings program for more energy savings to the district. Right now we're about $110,000 a year in savings, which we fully realize in 3 more years once the note's paid off. So, and this will probably add another $50,000 to $60,000 a year.
Go ahead.
So I apologize for not sending this out. I sent it to everyone. I committed to complete my walkthrough last Thursday and Friday. And again, I'll send the whole thing out, but the 3 things that I would like to get done like really soon, when we did this initial walkthrough, is the wheelchair ramp on the bleachers. So the ramp kind of doubles back. There's 2 lips on that. So as you're going up, it's just like, what is it? I don't know, slats, I guess, of aluminum, and it's not even. So if someone's pushing a wheelchair up there, one of them's pretty good lip on it now.
Yeah, those were identified when we had this the whole bleacher was inspected about 2 months ago. So they're coming back in June, and going to do the final repairs and all that.
I know, I had it written down, we found that in August, when it was
Right, yeah.
August 8th, as a matter of fact. So, also, when I actually got a lap in on the track over there the other day, walking, not running, and
Good, thanks.
there's 2, one on either side where the grates are missing. I know one we found last year.
Yeah, you told me about that. Well, I'm gonna go
Just
look
because
at
I know they got the track going, and obviously someone's on that inside of the lap, all it takes is an ankle in there, and the last one is complete, clean up the trash back there at the back end, almost, at the back end of the parking lot.
Right, we got most of it out of there. The vendors were supposed to come in this weekend and get it. They didn't show up, so I got a call into them. I haven't heard back. If I don't hear back from them tomorrow, we'll get someone else.
Yeah, because I'd like to, I don't know, are they still coming this week, or is it next week?
Next week.
Next week, now it's pushed off to the vacation week.
Yeah, so if we get it done,
No,
first
we're good.
impression, well, I know we get it, but it's been 2 months now, I keep hearing we're getting it. Just please
Yeah,
get it going.
Yeah, we'll
That's
take
all.
care of that.
Thank you.
Casey and Dennis Carey have gone around and been doing fence repair, so all of that's looking a whole lot better. And come fall, we will look at that for any other major repairs we have to do. The fencing with the netting and all that will get repaired, or replaced actually, over behind the middle school, the baseball field. That's all in progress from last year's money.
That's great.
So that'll get done, should be starting in a week
long overdue. Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. FY '20 budget, I don't plan on walking you through that again unless you need anything, but just a reminder, we do have the meeting with the Finance Committee and Selectmen on April 10th at 6:30. I think they posted their meeting for 6:15, but I think we're not scheduled to present until 6:30. Actually, I think Russ is going to go first, but they wanted Russ to present on the same night so we could all be there to hear. Some preliminary Finance Committee input. So I did have a meeting with Mr. Tumalo, and I know he basically said that what they were starting with was kind of planning on a 4% increase for the schools as they built their budget. Doesn't mean that's the final, there's a process to do the hearings and all that stuff, but as they were trying to start somewhere and put their pieces together, they were starting with the 4% for the schools. He also did mention that he would be in favor of warrant articles. Why does he like warrant articles? Because that can come out of one-time money. So if he has money in free cash or any type of one-time thing that might not necessarily be a recurring year-after-year expense, or year-after-year revenue source, excuse me, he could help give it to a warrant article, which is a one-time expense. So he was initially submitted it, said that he would be in favor of us submitting a warrant article if we had to cut down our budget to get to the 4%.
So,
Yep.
so right now, the budget you just said again, that was a,
Yep.
version, whatever.
Yeah.
Those, you would only have to have one if you had to take something out of that.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
Understand?
So it wouldn't be adding, so it wouldn't be to like add anything else. It's like if we're cutting to get to 4%, then we say, hey, we can we move some of it to a
Something
warrant
out of
article?
existing.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
So I just wanted to make you guys aware of that, because I do know that, so some things are gonna happen pretty fast here, because we're gonna have our meeting on the 10th. I think the deadline to submit warrant articles is on the 17th. So what we would probably do is the same sort of textbook technology article with the placeholder, if the Finance Committee still indicated that that's how they'd like us to proceed. And I think we could try to get that in, at least as a placeholder for the warrant. It's always better to have it there. I mean, it's easy to just, for some reason we don't need it, and it could be, it's not supported at the town meeting or whatever, but look at that. But I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that, because I think those deadlines are gonna happen pretty fast.
Is that the one with the freshman class at the Chromebook, is that included in this budget?
I wanna try to keep that in the budget, not put that in one article, because I think we want that to
So
be.
that's, so that is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's in there, and we want that to be a recurrent, we do want that, we're saying that's gonna be recurring, because we wanna do it year after year after year, so that's not one I would wanna move. But some of the things, like there was some money there for Project Lead the Way robotics kits. Well, we only need to buy those once to expand that, and then we don't need to buy them again, so that would be a good one to move over. So, so the next steps, our goal, since, we had that preliminary Finance Committee input. We've had some staffing, a lot of staffing meetings the last couple of weeks, and I know we've been Karen has sort of a running list of some things that we think we might be able to look at to try to get to that number. So our goal would be get our input, get our feedback from we're going to still present the same budget, because I think it's important that we present, what our needs are. And then we can, from there, we can see what their feedback is. Then we would do a revision of the budget to basically see, once we have, now we have public feedback, we'll have FinCom feedback, and then our goal would be to get another version of the budget to you in the April 22nd meeting, so that we could try to see, hopefully at that point, we're pretty close to matching things up.
So are the school's facilities projects, is it still up in the air whether they're going to be presented as a school warrant article or as a facilities warrant article? Did I understand that conversation correctly earlier in the meeting?
Yeah, I don't think I think the intent is for it to come from the facilities department, but then kind of be itemized in there.
Okay.
And I think that was part of kind of what we were trying to do anyway, we were trying to move away from, who can scream the loudest on town floor, and we get it so it's really more of a prioritized list, yeah.
Right. Okay.
But I think what Mr. Bailey was basically saying was that we want to have enough specificity in that warrant article so that it is basically aligned to that prioritized list. So it's not just, the town gives the facilities department $1 million, and next thing you know,
Right.
It's
The-
not
Right, the money's gonna be
allocated.
allocated, right, understood, yeah.
So that would be my, the next step would be hopefully to revise the budget and get you something on the 22nd that we can hopefully approve and get close to being what we want to take to town floor, or at that point, maybe ironing out, there might be a couple questions that we have in terms of cuts we might need to make or not, and we might ask you for some guidance, and then, button it up pretty soon.
Do we have to, Joel, or Steve, do we have to approve the one that you're presenting this Wednesday?
No, I don't think you need to formally approve it yet, because I think we know it's probably gonna.
We can't do it the same night that we have the public hearing anyway.
So we'll present it, I think it's good, we present it here, we get public input, we present there, we get FinCom input, then we'll be rolling out a budget, and then ultimately we'll approve a version between now, before town meeting, that we're gonna bring to town meeting. All right, so next thing I have is just a school choice vote. This is the time of year where the state starts asking you to vote if you're going to participate in school choice for next year. So we can vote to just say, yes, we want to participate and leave it totally unrestricted. We can close certain grades. You can even put certain caps on there if you wanted to put like the number of slots available on each grade. Right now, where we stand, you saw those enrollment numbers. I think the only grade I'd be concerned about accepting students in really is grade 6 right now. I don't know how the committee feels. If it's possible you don't want to accept in grade 6 and 7, or even so this data was on page 5 and 6. So. Yeah, I mean, even like grade 1 has 159 students, but with 8 sections, that's still only a class size of 20, and that's the maximum class size, because there are some students who might be in a substantially separate program that would go with those.
We've never set any limits on maximum or minimum class size that you know of.
That I know of.
That I know of.
Right.
And I would prefer that we not get into that level of weeds.
But I think, I would be concerned if we were going to, I think if we got much bigger, I wouldn't want to get much bigger than 25 in grade 6. I mean, I think that's starting to.
So that 177 is current enrollment?
That's
Projected for next
projected
year.
for next year.
Okay.
Yep. And then, but I said that there are, we have the 10
Choice out.
charter schools. Yep, 10 charter school students have been accepted to AMP, so we got that preliminary notification.
Can I
Yep.
ask a few questions?
Yep.
So, for elementary school, what is our ideal class size? So like right now, it looks like we're hovering between 20 to 21, kind of across the board there, minus the kindergarten piece and the pre-K piece. And then, before you answer that, I guess, how many of the surrounding communities don't have full-time kindergarten yet? So with that in mind, I feel like we should consider taking your advice about the grade 6 in middle school. I would imagine the ideal class size is 24.
Right. I mean, yeah.
So I would say, hear your feedback as far as, the ideal class size for elementary school. I have concern about opening kindergarten because we're full-time and other communities are not. So the drain that, it's one thing if they're gonna come to our community, it's a great part of our community, and, we open those doors to them, but for them to come to us for kindergarten
And
to leave because they don't have to worry about daycare or something else that's supplemented in other communities.
I think that's a great
It's a
point.
major concern of mine.
okay.
Yeah, I think it's a great point.
I mean, I kind of see it in another light that, we get somebody in kindergarten from another community, and even if they were coming to get the full-time status, maybe they see things that they like and want to stay after
We can
that.
probably get those numbers if
Yeah.
you want to see it, to look at it. I think that if we make a motion to just participate, and then, at the discretion of the superintendent and the administrative team, I would be fine with that as well, and then give them the leeway to advise finalize how they're planning to do it. I would say with regard to enrollment numbers, I don't know that there's an ideal number of students. I mean, I have a sense of what's too large, I have a sense of what is on the small side, but, I mean, you know full well, it's the dynamics of a class can, and the, you know, the instructional team can make a lot of difference. So, you know, that's why I'm glad that we're not sort of zeroing in on a number, because it can put, I've lived it in my other life, it can put you in a bind when you're, you know, when you're a number above, or, you know, one student moves in and then all of a sudden you've got to do something mid-year that I just wouldn't want to hamstring our administrative team by getting that rigid about not a number not to exceed, because that can happen mid-year.
I understand, and I guess my reservation is, correct me if I'm wrong, school choice receiving about $5,000.
Yeah, it's a little more.
So when we think about our per pupil expenditure of 13, and we're receiving $5,000, what I'm looking at is the impact of that $5,000 we're receiving when we turn around and potentially get a new teacher, that could be 60,000 or so.
Absolutely, and another great point. So I think that, you know, if we were to leave that decision to the administrative team to say, or if you wanted to quantify it where it's not to exceed to the point where another section has to be added, I think
No,
that's responsible.
You know, I think I hear, you know, the reservation of not trying to micromanage as the committee. That's not something we've done in the last few years. We respect your ability to make that call and that decision, but what I'm saying is, for the luxury of $5,000, even though, you know, we're trying to, you know, get back on the map, trying to build ourselves, trying to show all the great things we do here, and, you know, the elementary school, you know, and what's happening there are fantastic things, so it's a valid point that they might come to that kindergarten and really enjoy it, but I'm just concerned about, you know, going over the threshold. Now, if we have a small kindergarten class, I'm not saying have that same, you know, holding back on that, it's
So-
just more of,
Why don't we make maybe a recommendation here would be, so you were allowed to close grades later, right? So if all of a sudden we had a bunch of kids move in and we wanted to say, hey, we need to close grade 5, we could close grade 5. If we wanted to, you could make a motion tonight to say, yes, we want to participate in school choice for the 1920 school year, and we know at this point we do not want to accept any new students in grade 6. I can get a little more information on kindergarten, because I know some of this is projected numbers anyway. So when you look at the 140 and say it's exactly at 20, there's some educated guess there based on what our hard number is right now and what we typically receive kind of walk in over the summer. But I could do a little more digging into kindergarten, and we might be able to look at how we could phrase that so that we could maybe quantify the number of slots that are available.
I think, I know, just say use grade 6 as an example. You have a kid in grade 6, or a couple, one of your siblings automatically, this child's already in the school system. Even if we close grade 6, if that family had a sibling coming, we have to take them in now.
You mean like if two, if they both try to come in,
Yeah,
new?
or one already in, you know, but
Usually if they're,
you're trying to
I mean,
keep
they
them
would-
together, you don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think that
grades-
comes here, I don't think that happens in like St. Anne's, I know they have,
Yeah.
they get better first.
normally what would happen is, you know, any kid that's still here, any kid that's like a school choice kid now, they stay. I mean, we're not kicking them out. But it would be if you were a new 5th grade student. I think the only exception, and I don't even know if it's an exception, yeah, I mean, that would be, we could look into that.
and then, I know high school, we do class schedules a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if, you know, for the next meeting, we could get a breakdown of what the projected class sizes are, 9 through 12.
Yep, yeah.
You know, you can kind of guess, but I think from looking at previous numbers, there was a discrepancy with like the 10th grade that's becoming 11th graders, and
Yep.
so it's to be able to average what, averaging what the real numbers are.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion that we accept school choice other than grade 6, and as far as the lower grades or the other grades, just at the discretion of the superintendent, based on what the enrollments are looking like, if we need to close any other grades.
Second.
Motion being made and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor? Thank you.
All right, so thank you for that. We can make sure we'll notify the state that we are participating. Like I said, we can revisit that and we can modify as we need to if we want to look at the other grades. And I'll try to make sure we bring the K school choice number, those types of numbers, and some more information on high school class size for next meeting. Or hopefully the next meeting. I know it's going to come quick with vacation. If not, it might be one more, but we'll get it. All right. Just a couple updates. Clinton High School principal search. So that posting closed on March 14th. Search committee met right away. They reviewed the applicants. I believe there was 31 applications received. The process started with I thought there was some good efforts made to be objective. There was each candidate had to write a vision statement. That was in the posting. All those vision statements were scored using a blind process, so that they used a rubric, but there was no names on any of them or any other identifiable things. So that was one component. Then it went into a screening of the credentials based on some identified characteristics from the job posting, and then there was candidates selected to be interviewed. They conducted their interviews over a few nights, and they recommended 3 candidates to me. Those 3 finalists will be meeting with me over the next 3 days, the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and actually will come for their interview with me, and then we'll be bringing them up to the high school. We'll be doing kind of a tour of the high school, meeting some of the staff at the high school, observing a class, debriefing a classroom observation, and then having an opportunity for faculty to meet the candidates. This would just be the next step in the process, and then I think we would go from there before we would figure out if we were going to do site visits or community forums before making a final decision.
So are we considering doing a public night?
Yeah, I think I didn't want to do it yet. I haven't met these candidates yet, so we're going to start with this one, and then I think that before we would make a final decision, I think we would have something public. Yes. Thanks. The cheerleaders nationals trip, I just tried to get you some more information. We had another meeting with them. This kind of gives you some more specifics on the dates, where they will be, where the competition is. I know there's still not exact times. They're still kind of booking all those things. It's only 10 people, but I don't know if this is sufficient for you just to approve them for the trip. We'll take care of the rest, or if you want more details.
We have a motion to approve the high school cheerleaders trip to Virginia Beach. May 3rd, May 6th.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion being made and seconded. Now discussion. Yeah.
I saw here, the whole itinerary, it's around, it's a number of chaperones. We have the chaperone, not the names, but the number per student. Is there
Yeah,
any
so
minimum?
there'll be 9 athletes and two adults. So it'll be, whatever that is, 4.5 to 1.
Wow. I was just good at math, right? All right, thank you.
Other questions?
All right.
There being none, all those in favor?
All right, thank you. Just an update on the District Environment Committee. We did send that survey out. We sent it out in 3 languages. So far, we have 151 responses. I think we gave them to the end of this week for it to close. We asked them to have them in by the end of this week, so we'll probably close it this weekend or something, survey. And then we'll reconvene our committee to start looking at the data and see what we learned from that. I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Did the safety committee met on April 3rd? Any update?
We're just making a plan for drills for the end of the year.
Okay.
Making sure we're on top of our fire drills, we talked a little about security cameras. the grant, we talked about the grant, and making sure, you know, we're gonna try to coordinate one more lockdown drill between now and the end of the year too. We're hoping to maybe incorporate at least some of the Alice's, some of the evacuate type principles in there.
I'm sorry, I skipped right over curriculum committee. I know that they, I think they.
We didn't meet in these two meetings. We met recently, but not since the last one.
Anything new from the marketing committee?
Nothing other than we have a meeting scheduled for this Thursday at 6:30.
Okay. All right, the policy subcommittee met, and you have in your packets one policy that was already referenced, ECAF on security cameras in schools. This is sourced from MASC via Mass General Law. And and I guess we'll take them one at a time. The second policy was requested by Mr. DeWalt on disposition of surplus property. So I'm assuming you've had an opportunity to look over the security cameras in schools policy. We'd be looking for.
Just one clarifying thing, that so both these policies came, kind of originated from the MASC. The policy subcommittee met, we looked at them, we made some changes, a few minor changes here or there, based on kind of our line, our, particularly in the disposition one, which is a little unique because we refer to the town guidelines. Once we made our changes, those were sent to our legal counsel for, just to make sure that they were still, we didn't do anything substantial to change the policy, and they were, these represent the ones approved based on legal counsel.
So the one recommended by the disposition policy, recommended by the MASC, didn't have language in it that talked to following town procedures?
Correct. Because it was written more from the standpoint of like a regional school, where they would have their own, they would have the authority to kind of dispose of that equipment on their own. So with us, we're actually going to be governed by the town bylaws for that. So, so basically, we just decided that, the consensus was for us to get a policy that at least says, we're going to declare things surplus that we're saying we can get rid of, and then we'll try to work through the town procedures to get rid of it.
Gotcha, okay.
So we can take them individually, or we can just make a motion to approve policy ECAF and policy DN, unless you prefer to take them individually.
I'd like to make a motion to approve policy ECAF and policy DN for first reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion being made and seconded. Any further discussion on either of the two policies? There being none, all those in favor of accepting them as first reading? Unanimous, thank you. Good work, thank you, subcommittees. Is there anything under old, there is under old business, the facilities subcommittee appointments. I thank you. As chairman, I hereby appoint Mr. DeWalt and Mr. McIntyre to the facilities subcommittee. Godspeed, gentlemen. Anything under new business?
Steve, can we possibly, at either the next meeting or even the meeting after that, get an update on the, where those negative balance lunch accounts, because it's been, I think, a couple months since we've sent those letters out and everything, so.
Yep, so we have been meeting, we just had a meeting the other day with food service to go over it.
Okay.
And, it's tough because when you can track that the letters are effective in terms of we're getting money in, but there's still some other balances growing, so.
Sure.
But we should be able to have, I know we're gonna do a third quarter update at the next meeting
Next
anyway
meeting, we
for
should have
our FY19 expenditures.
Okay.
So we should probably be able to incorporate that in, either in that meeting or the meeting after.
Okay.
Yep, but it was something that we are still working on it. I actually had to do some other breakdowns of those as well, to kind of look at, of this number that we keep talking about, how many of those kids don't go to school here anymore, how many of those kids have since been identified as free lunch and all that kind of stuff. So we're kind of parceling that out too, to try to identify what's actually collectible debt and what's
Just
bad
lost,
debt.
right, yeah.
And when we're getting that quarterly update on food service, I know we saw like a big picture, and I'm not saying for us to, micromanage anything of what we have, but if we could look at, where the deficits are coming out this year, because it seems like it's much larger than it's been in the past. Last year there was a deficit, we raised the budget, and there's a larger deficit, so.
They actually are doing okay. Our projected deficit is much less than it was at the last one. That was what we went over in our last meeting. But yeah, we'll give you an update on that too, because we are trying to keep our eyes on that and make sure that we're making those steps to try to get that all to, by the end of the year, try to get it all to come together.
And I think it's more,
Yeah.
A lot of restructuring's taken place in the food service industry as a whole, so
Yeah.
it's major adjustments for everybody, and, can we take a look at something to offset it?
Yep. And I think there's a conference in May.
Yeah,
That we're gonna go, it's a food service conference in May, we're gonna send some people to. We also might even take go visit another district to look at some alternative breakfast ideas so that we could try to increase the participation in that.
Thank you.
Quick little sample, is it
Let me know when you go.
Mr. Bailey, I hereby appoint you to the lunch advisory
Yeah, anything.
tasting
Yeah, I do
subcommittee.
breakfast to lunch,
Yeah.
stuff or whatever you got.
Anything else under new business? All right, under Chapter 38, Section 21 of Massachusetts General Law, Open Meeting Law, the committee will enter into executive session to discuss strategy and preparations for negotiations with Unit D employees and non-union personnel. The committee will not reconvene. This requires a roll call. Thank you.